I was told by a top boxing coach that boxing is 80% mental strength and 20% training. Do you agree? 80
Um,
20.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what most fighters say because the mental mindset is very. You need to have a strong mental mindset. Um, but the training is extremely tough. Like I know they say like 20% training and 80% or 90% mental and 10%. But if you look at the training, it's extremely difficult. But to get through that training, you have to be mentally strong. Then after that, you got to be strong enough to get through the fight. That's another mental challenge. So yeah,
Mm.
your mental strength is key, definitely.
Here's a question for you, Barbara, on that note. And classically, the black belt in martial arts has always been a sign of an accomplished fighter. I know they don't give out belts in boxing, but if they did, well, they do. Well, not black belts as such, but we always associate the black belt or the champion in boxing as having great discipline. Now, does boxing and martial arts provide discipline to people, or is it the case that only the most disciplined people who were disciplined anyway take it that far and stay in the game long enough to achieve a black belt or a title or whatever it is?
So you're saying that the discipline is the key. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Is the sport giving them the discipline,
Right.
or is it disciplined people carried on with the sport and hundreds of other ill-disciplined people showed up a couple of times, got whacked on the nose, didn't like it, and went home?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. You have to have the discipline, and the skill that is developed in time. But the
Mm.
discipline is the driving force that keeps you going. And if he is
But do
saying
you
here,
think sport gives
then
you
you have
discipline, or do you just need it anyway? And if you don't have it, no amount of sport will help you, and you'll drop out.
sports do provide discipline because
Mm.
what it is that when you go to training or whatever, is actually you are being disciplined. You are being disciplined to go through that training session. So you
Mm.
are showing discipline. You are demonstrating it. So yes, you are becoming more. Sports do give you discipline. Um, for example, if I'm doing a training session, like for example tonight, I'm going to do a training session. I'm going to have a particular group of people. They're going to be working hard. The ones that don't work hard, it's going to show. And then what happens is it becomes levels, right? So the more disciplined people, they're going up. Training session after training session, they're getting better. The undisciplined people who are not giving it 100% for whatever reason, they're staying down. So then the gap, right? My phone battery is running out now. So
That's
then it
all right,
becomes a
Barbara.
gap,
Yeah,
right? So
no problems. Well,
you
look,
you got to close the gap. With your competition,
okay,
it's all about who wants it more, right? So
yeah,
the one who is more disciplined, the one who has more drive, is going to win. Is going to have is going to conquer. Ifty is saying here, this is a good point here, Julian.
yeah,
Then you have the saying, hard work beats talent, which is true because if you have a talented person and they have raw talent, really they still have to work hard. But then you can have a guy who has a good work ethic and he keeps at it, chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. Then he will surpass that person who has raw talent. Why? Because he will have a more rounded arsenal, more rounded
yeah.
game. You know, um, I want to say another thing as well, actually, in terms of what is more important when it comes to like combat sports in particular, because obviously that's what I'm working with mostly. If you get a guy who's extremely fit, who has extremely high stamina level, strong, excellent biomechanics, whatever, and then you put him against a guy who is an average athlete but highly skilled in his art, who do you think would win? Would you think that the guy who is extremely fit and strong will overcome, his will and desire will overcome the guy who is more skilled.
I think generally you've got to give it to the guy with the skills, but people underestimate what strength and power and even size can do in
Yeah,
a free fight situation
yeah, yeah.
or a no holds barred. Yeah, you can't underestimate that. And weight categories uh, exist for a reason. A big, massive guy with zero technique, it's quite easy to tie him up in knots. But someone strong, very strong, who kind of knows what they're doing, they're a dangerous animal.
Yeah, yeah. I,
Where
I,
do you think?
I
Where
think
do you think
where I
the
stand
truth
in all
lies?
this, is that I encourage people, if you want to box or if you want to do MMA or whatever, your majority of your training that you do throughout the week has to be focused towards boxing, doing boxing, sparring, boxing. Okay. The other certain percentages you can work on, like the other thing that's important is your stamina. So you
Mm,
have skill, stamina, and then strength and conditioning. I believe strength and conditioning should be last. I
okay.
believe that if you, because when you are doing your art, you are getting conditioning anyway,
Yeah.
because you are sparring, you are building up your stamina, your
Mm,
conditioning and your timing,
mm.
etc., etc. So I
And I
believe that
guess that's the sort of thing you can do in your own time.
exactly. So when you are at your boxing session, 90% of
Yeah.
that you should just be boxing. You should be getting in the ring.
Technique,
You should be doing some
sparring,
technical sparring. If you need to do
pads.
hard sparring, you should do hard sparring too. And the rest of the time, the other days, you should be running. And if you've got time for strength and conditioning, do it. But really, you should be running and doing your art. That's it. You know.
Superb. Well, look, Barbara, I'm going to
And
thank you
because
for
the thing
catching
is,
up with me.
yeah,
Go on, yeah.
I
Why do they get mixed up?
people get mixed up because it's like what happens is that you get individuals who want to box, for example, or they want to do like MMA or whatever it is, and then you'll see them doing strength and conditioning stuff, like working on their body and
Yeah,
aesthetics.
because we've all seen Rocky, Barbara. People think that's what it's about. I'm going to get really strong and then I'm going to beat someone up.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. So then you'll see them doing like working on the aesthetics and doing strength and
mm,
conditioning and all that, and then you see them working only a small portion on the actual skill. And I think, hold on, you're getting a bit mixed up here.
mm.
You have to drop your ego. You cannot, it's like Tyson Fury says, and he says it very well. There are no body types in boxing, and he's proved that there is no particular body type in boxing. It's all about the skill and your ability, and also your conditioning, obviously. But like I said, the more boxing you do, you're going to get that conditioning anyway. You're going to get that timing, learning your distance and all that. So
Yeah.
people need to prioritize. So when you get a young guy and he's weightlifting 4 times a week and he's coming to the boxing club 2 times a week, and then he's saying, "Oh, I want to box," and he's not getting anywhere, there's a reason for it. Because your priorities are all mixed up.
Mm. They want to look good before they be good.
Exactly,
Mm.
exactly. So they got to drop their ego. Drop your ego and don't be uh, embarrassed or shy or starting at the bottom. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. You know.
Many people that I invited to come boxing or to come try MMA, they say, "Yeah, I'm going to come. I'm going to get fit, and then I'm going to come."
Exactly.
You
And
have to
then
make the start.
they don't understand that you will get fit once you start
Yeah, it will happen. It will
doing,
happen.
that is part of it. Because your training has to be specific to what you want to achieve and what sport you want to achieve. Why would you want to do muscle ups, chin ups, or whatever when it doesn't translate to anything? Where does a muscle up translate to boxing? In what way? What does it do? It doesn't. See, so that's what
Very
I'm
true.
saying. Your training should be
Now,
specific
as we
to
said,
your sport.
fit is fit for purpose. I think
Yeah,
a muscle up would be good if you were training for a muscle up competition, maybe. But I'm already just jealous because I can't do one.
yeah,
But I'm
yeah,
sure
yeah,
you
yeah.
can.
No, no. I mean, it's an impressive movement. I'm not denying that it's impressive. But what I'm saying is that what does it translate to? How is that going to help you sport that you're trying to pursue? You know, and then you get into doing
Mm.
all these movements that are not inclined towards your sport. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I remember when I was training boxing, I told my coach, "Oh, coach, I've been running and I put ankle weights on."
yeah,
And he's like, take them off. Take them off.
yeah,
They're going to throw your timing off because you don't
uh,
wear them in the ring and your
yeah,
hands and feet need to be in time with each other in boxing. So
mm,
if you're running and your feet are used to being heavy, you're not
mm,
going to have that timing.